Everybody, Cole here with Classic Mini DIY, and on today's episode we're going to be replacing this stock shifter with a beautiful KAD Standard Ratio shifter. So stay tuned. Alright everybody, so on this episode of Classic Mini DIY, like I said, we're going to be replacing the shifter with a really nice KAD shifter. Now, this episode, I've got to warn you guys, it's got a little bit of carnage in it. And it might not be for people who are not big fans of seeing original parts get mangled and destroyed. Unfortunately, to put this new shifter on, you need some parts from an old shifter. And I'll get into that in a little bit here. But unfortunately, these rod change shifters, they're not made anymore. These are like original parts and they're not sold anymore. And this job does involve slicing this one up. So before you guys get into the comment section and get real mad at me for cutting one of these up, I do have to say that this one is actually not correct. It's actually a little bit askew. This little bushing right here, for whatever reason, is turned, and what I was really hoping I could do is heat this up, turn it back, and then this would shift in the right order and things wouldn't hit knees and go into the wrong place. But I spent a good deal of time heating this up, trying to pull it down. I have no idea how this thing is on here, but it is not moving. So the shifter itself is not a good working shifter, so I'm not super worried about cutting this up. But the shifter that I am replacing it with is from KAD. I think it's Kent Auto Developments. I'm pretty sure I have that right. If I don't, it'll show up on the bottom of the screen. But this shifter is a standard ratio shifter. Now, this is one that is not like a short shift, nothing like that. But you guys might know that I am really, really close to 10,000 subscribers, which is absolutely mind-blowing. And so to celebrate that 10,000 subscriber mark, assuming we get there in the next month, I'm going to be giving away a short shifter made by KAD. Now, if you've been around for any of these giveaways in the past, you know there's a link in the description. Head over there. There's tons of different ways to enter in to win this. And keep in mind, this is not a sponsored video by KAD. I am buying that shifter and giving it out to you guys. So it's definitely my thank you to you guys for subscribing and watching all of these episodes. But I will ask whoever the winner is, they'll be able to tell me whether they have a rod change or a remote shift, and of course we'll get the shifter that matches their shift system properly. But let's get into installing this one. Now, this is a standard ratio shifter, which means that it has the exact same amount of throw as my original shifter. I personally didn't want a short shift. I like having the big throw. I don't know why, but I do really, really like it. And I needed a new shifter because that one was not working properly. And the cool thing about these KAD shifters is that they have a reverse collar on them. So what that means is this collar right here actuates the end here, you can see in and out, and that is going to prevent use on specifically rod change gearboxes from having to lift the whole shifter to shift it into reverse. Now all you have to do is lift this little collar, kind of like a modern car. This comes with the parts you see. This is everything it comes with. Well, it also comes with a sticker. But we actually need some of the parts off of the original shifter, and that involves cutting. So come with me over to my workbench, I'll show you what I mean. Now the parts that we're gonna need off of this original shifter are this plastic collar right here, this washer, and well, that's it. Those are the two pieces we need. But in order to get to this, we're gonna have to cut this in half here. Now, the shifter that comes on the car, the original rod change shifter here, is rubber isolated, so you've got a little rubber buffer inside here, and then all these parts are all connected up as in the way that you see. But let's get my angle grinder out. We're gonna set this in the bench vise and we're gonna cut this up here. All right, so now we have our cutoff wheel. So what we're gonna do is cut right below the rubber isolator here. And of course, when using any sort of power tools, always get yourself some safety covers and of course, ear protection. All right, so as you can see, we've got our plastic collar off here, and we also need to take off this small washer here. This is going to go on top of the spring on our new KAD system. First, we're going to unscrew the head of the shifter here. That's pretty easy. Just unscrew it, set that off, and then we're also going to unscrew the collar here, which is going to provide us access to a roll pin inside the end of the shifter here. Let's see if I can get that in view for you guys. That's going to expose a small roll pin here, and we're going to have to press that out in order to get this collar the rest of the way off. Now that pin shouldn't be too difficult to get out, but it should. You just need to hammer it out using a small punch, something like this that is like equal size, and then that collar will come off. And at that point, the spring actually will kind of fall out the bottom as well. So just make sure you don't lose any of these parts because we are going to need them again. Now, next up, we're going to take our washer, which came off, and we're going to put that over here. Now, this might not fit, and if it doesn't fit, you're going to need to file it out, get it a little bit larger so it can slide down on here and take the place over the spring. The same thing will likely need to be done with this collar here. Now, the collar, as you can see, not fitting over that hole ever so slightly. We're just going to have to shave it down a little bit and make sure it fits. All right, perfect. That fits down on there just right. Now we just need to get this washer in the same boat. All right, so once you get that washer off, you're gonna have to file it down, and I have to tell you guys that that was not very fun to do. CAD, I think that it would be really wonderful if you included a washer that fit this already, rather than piggybacking the one that's on there. This, however, was really easy to retrofit, and now that has a slightly larger hole, and everything comes down there and does what it needs to do. Now, there was one other part that I mentioned that you'll need from your other shifter, and it's this retaining ring, especially if you're keeping the standard assembly. This is going to have to come off. However, this can go over everything. You don't have to do it right now. So with that, all we got to do is kind of return all the pieces back to where they were. Starting with our collar here, the little sprung part that allows you to have a reverse actuating collar thing. And it's really hard for me to show you guys this, but you should see a wire showing up down there. Well, can't really see it, but you're gonna need to hold this sprung while you put the collar back on here and add that roll pin back to it. So I don't really know how I'm gonna show you guys this, if I'm honest with you. I might stick this in the bench vise and see if I can show you where I hammer that pin right back down in there. So let's see if I can get that shot for you. All right, so the key with that was making sure everything here stays stationary, and then you have to make sure that roll pin goes through the actual threaded cable that's, you know, actuating this whole thing here. It's as simple as just screwing this back on. The next thing that will go on will actually be in your car. This is going to come over and lock down in just like the original shifter. And then you'll take your new shift knob, screw it right on over that. So let's head into the car and I'll show you guys how to connect this up. Pretty straightforward. Now with this part, there's nothing fancy. You just got to bring this down in here, line it up with its little punch pin. There we go. Then you're going to bring your retaining ring down, right down into the hole, assuming I cut this correctly, and lock it into place. And then of course the last thing that we're going to do is install this shift knob. Now I still need to get a boot for my shifter here, so for the time being there is no boot being installed, but I will have one soon. And then one of the most important things, of course, is installing this KAD sticker so everybody knows that this is a CAD shifter. Here we go. First, second, third, fourth, and then collar up, reverse. It's pretty slick, it's tidy. Let's head back inside and we can talk a little bit more about the giveaway and finish things up. All right, and that wraps up this episode of Classic Mini DIY. As you can see, installing one of these CAD shifters is a little bit more involved than just, you know, bolting one on. I think the short shifters are a little bit easier to install. They come with kind of all of the retaining and bolting down equipment that you need in order to connect it to your existing shift housing. But like I said, I want to do a giveaway as a thank you and a celebration for getting to 10,000. I'm hoping with the giveaway we can just break that 10,000 mark, so who knows, you might be the 10,000th subscriber. If I had a way to track that, I would give the 10,000th subscriber a gift specifically. But if you are interested in winning a short shifter for your rod change or remote gearbox, head to the link in the description and enter to win. There are lots of different ways to enter. There's daily entries, there's some for subscribing to the channel, you know, all the different kinds of stuff, social engagement, blah, 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 blah. You get the idea. There are ways to enter. So in addition to the giveaway, I want to say a huge thank you to 7 Mini Parts. They have been my sponsor since I had only 400 subscribers. If you guys are in North America and need classic mini parts, check out 7 Mini Parts. They are the best folks to get parts from here in North America. They're incredibly friendly. They're always into answering questions and helping you guys figure out the parts that you really need for your classic minis. So thank you so much, 7 Mini Parts, and here's to the next 10,000 subscribers. So, like with all of my episodes, if you have any questions or you have feedback on what I did here in the episode, post them in the comment section below. Otherwise, check out the merch store, lots of new stuff on there, and until next time, enjoy those minis and motor on.